Okay, I think my sound should be fine. Not sure. Guess I'll find out at the end of this video. But hi, my name is Letitia Anglin, and today I am going to be analyzing a graphic novel for you guys, and the name of it is Hell of an Innocent. Okay, so basically, and I want to apologize before I try to say these names because I am terrible at pronunciations. The writer for Hell of an Innocent is Zedru, and the artist is Philippe Bertet. I think that's how you pronounce it, not sure. I'm sorry if I horribly messed that up. The publisher is Europe Comics, and it is about 65 pages long. Like I said before, this is a graphic novel. Um, what I'm going to pull up for you guys now is the end of Act 1, which ends on page 7. Now, what we see going on page 7 is after the main character, Greg, confides to a police officer about his father's true intentions, you see the animals that are used for the setup of the next setting. And this is basically what is setting the tone for the next act. On Act 2, that actually begins on page 8. And you see Greg having a conversation with his dog, Commonwealth, which is very unusual name for a dog, but his name is Commonwealth, and he has just killed a coyote or um, a wolf or something along those lines to protect his livestock or his sheep. Act 2 actually ends on page 19. What we see happening here, Greg has asked Thomas to watch his dog and his sheep. And once Greg boards his train, Thomas has already lost the dog, which is basically what Greg was afraid of. He's made some jokes about Thomas being a bit ditzy, so once he loses the dog, it's kind of like, okay, we already knew that was going to happen because that's what Greg said he would do. Um, Act 3 begins on page 20. Now, here we actually see Greg is on the train headed back to confront his path with his ex wife, Lee, who his brother apparently murdered some years ago. Basically, Greg and his wife were in hiding. So, as we get further into the story, there are going to be some secrets and some truths that come out about what really happened. Um, Act 3 ends on page 42. So here you can see where Greg learns of the infidelity from his wife, his ex wife, Lee, when they were married. He basically tries to defend her and he gets into a fight. Act 4 starts on page 43. Now, on this page, a reporter from a newspaper of some sort comes to talk to him for an interview. Tongue twister. She comes to talk to him for an interview based on his alleged crimes of what happened 27 years ago. Act 4 ends on page 64. Greg has found his brother, who is actually not dead as he thought he was dead all this time. So it turns out that his brother has actually been alive, and he has cleared both of their names. And now his brother has decided that he is going to stay with Greg and Lee. Um, After that final act and that final scene, I would say that this story does fit into our model. There are clear indications of where new scenes um, start that, indicate that there's another act that's about to come into play or something else is about to happen. So I would say that it definitely fits our model. Now, this is Greg's story. He is the main character. The goal is for Greg to go back and to find out what really happened 27 years ago and tie up some loose ends after his father's untimely passing. So he's basically trying to prove his innocence and his brother's innocence and bring the truths to light because there's a lot of lies and just a lot of, well, yeah, basically lies. I was trying to find another word, but yeah, it's basically lies that he's trying to, clear everybody's name and, you know, let everybody know that his family is innocent. In Act 2 is where Greg further details what apparently happened, and it is when he makes the decision to go back to Dubbo, which is in uh, Australia, I think it is. I pronounced that all wrong, but it looks like Dubbo or Dubo, or I'm not even sure. Once again, like I said, my pronunciation is terrible, but it's Dubbo or Dubo, so I apologize if I'm saying that wrong. Um, there is a solid arc. There is a clear beginning, middle, and end. Now, I thought the resolution was satisfactory because it answered a lot of my questions as I was reading the novel. It was the questions like, was his brother really innocent? Is his brother really dead? You know, um, why were they blamed in the first place? Questions like that. So, as I read the novel, I got a lot of my answers questioned. I got a lot of my questions answered. Sorry, reverse that. Strike it. Okay. Um, I think all of the characters had a solid arc except for the ex-wife Lee. She is basically known to be very promiscuous, and she doesn't really care who she hurts in the process of her promiscuity. Um, you know, she's a free spirit, so to speak. Um, she doesn't realize this until Greg learns that Lee was unfaithful while they were married, and she tells Greg that she's sorry. So it was in that moment that she actually realized that she had hurt someone that she once loved. Between the acts, I feel like the reader can tell where the transitions are, so I say that they were very effective. I mean, you could tell when the conversations end and there's a new scene, and you could tell when a new act has started and when it ended. So, I mean, I would say that the transitions were very appropriate and very effective. um, McLeod uses the transition of panel to panel. There are some pages reminiscent of that in this graphic novel. And for example, if you look here on page 10, towards the bottom of the page, it shows a perfect example of a transition of panel to panel. And there are several more pages like that throughout this entire novel. This graphic novel does not make use of the mini page comic idea. It isn't really a paperback, and it doesn't have that element of being homemade or having that homemade touch to it. So, um, yeah, it's not a mini page comic idea. The story does make use of directional flow. It is very easy to tell which characters are speaking, and you know which text goes where. The movement of the art combined with the layout and the text does pull the reader through. It easily guides you onto the next panel, scene, and or page, so you're able to follow through perfectly. You don't have to guess which character is saying what. Everything is just perfectly aligned and perfectly placed. Um, I would recommend this graphic novel because it was a really good read, first off. I mean, the storyline was just great. And secondly, it's one of those, kind of whodunit stories. I mean, I think everybody likes a whodunit story, but maybe that's just me. But it's almost like you wait for that aha moment at the end once you find out what really happened, and you're like, I knew it was this person, or I knew he killed so and so, or you're waiting for that moment at the end once you reach the end of the story to just be like, I knew it. It's one of those moments. So, um, it's for that reason is why I would recommend this graphic novel. Um, I do talk to a lot of my friends through social media who read and share the same interests as me, so I definitely recommend this to them, especially for a lot of my friends that are on Twitter. When we have certain shows that we watch on certain days, everyone is tweeting at the same time. When you watch shows like Power and Queen Sugar and Empire, just to name a few, I think this graphic novel would make a great conversation piece because with those particular shows that I just named, it has a lot of those elements in this graphic novel. Um, a fun fact about me: before I took this course, I had never read a comic book ever in my life. And I don't think those little wrappers on the bubble gum, the little comic book wrappers, yeah, I don't really think that would count as reading a comic. So, yeah, I never read a comic book before this course, and I think after taking this course, I've used a lot more of my free time to read, more comics. So, um, I'm becoming an avid comic reader day by day, slowly but surely. So, that was my analysis of Hell of an Innocent. I'm glad you all, hope you all enjoyed it, and thank you for your time.